You're listening to The Signal Daily. Hi, I'm Sharbari, your host for The Signal Daily podcast. This is the episode for 6th June 2024. First, we're discussing why so many former and current employees of OpenAI are criticizing the startup. And in our second segment, we continue to follow up on all the relevant election-related developments. Last November, when AI's golden boy Sam Altman, who was accused of chasing profits over safety, returned to office after a fleeting expulsion, we at The Signal concluded that business has won over science at OpenAI. A couple of months later, OpenAI's jaded employees are also now hinting the same. Before we discuss the demands and accusations of OpenAI's former and current employees, a very brief recap of the events at the world's hottest AI startup first. Following Sam Altman's return as OpenAI CEO, the board which fired him was dissolved. A new board was reinstated, and more recently, Ilya Sutskever, the chief scientist who was involved in Altman's expulsion, quit the company. And after his departure, OpenAI also dissolved its so-called Superalignment AI safety team. So all in all, it won't be a stretch to say that developing AI safely and responsibly has been put on the back burner, and OpenAI's priority now seems to be throwing up as many products and iterations as possible and capturing the market. Now, this has annoyed quite a few AI researchers at the San Francisco-based startup. Daniel Kokotajlo, who was hired in 2022 to keep track of AI's progress, quit last month because he had, quote-unquote, lost confidence that OpenAI will behave responsibly. Kokotajlo is also one of 9 current and former OpenAI's employees who published an open letter on Tuesday accusing the company of a culture of recklessness and secrecy. The letter was also signed by one former and one current employee of Google DeepMind, namely Ramana Kumar and Neil Nanda. So what are the accusations? Well, employees are saying that AI companies are enforcing agreements that are demanding them to stay silent or risk losing equity. In fact, as per a Vox investigation, OpenAI made outgoing employees sign an NDA that says that they can't criticize the company lest their equity be clawed out. Although Sam Altman claimed that he wasn't aware of any such agreement. The employees have also accused AI companies, particularly OpenAI, of ignoring existing safety protocols in the rush to launch products. Kokotajlo, who I just quoted before, accused Microsoft of testing a version of Bing Search in India without the safety board's approval. But that's an allegation that Microsoft has denied. Now, what are the employees demanding? It's quite simple, actually. A right to warn about AI. That's all. The letter says that former and current employees are in a unique position as, due to the lack of government regulation, they are the only ones who can call out dangerous developments in the AI industry. The letter also calls for AI companies to establish an anonymous process for reporting complaints and to end NDA agreements. Well, we'll see if AI companies will concede to the demands of their workers, but one thing is for sure. It seems AI researchers aren't afraid of whistleblowing. That in itself is remarkable. And now for our second segment, we are going to bring you deep dives on stories from the world of technology, business, policy, and anything that leaves you with food for thought. The election adrenaline hasn't worn off yet. In this plot, there's still room for political suspense as no single party got an overwhelming mandate, unlike the 2019 elections. The Congress and the rest of the INDIA alliance partners bounced back in an unexpected way and managed to regain some of their old turf as the BJP and other NDA allies suffered a setback. The ruling party, the BJP, secured 240 votes, which is the most number of Lok Sabha seats won by any single party this election, but it was humbled by the people's mandate, which did not give it the clean sweep that it was expecting. Now, this is unlike the 2014 and the 2019 elections, when the party alone managed to secure a clear majority with 283 and 303 Lok Sabha seats. So naturally, Wednesday was all indoor meetings and high-profile political visits as both the NDA and the INDIA alliances got busy to make political deals. Narendra Modi submitted his resignation to President Draupadi Murmu and is likely to stake claim to form the new government for the third time, a feat only achieved by India's first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. But unlike Nehru in 1962, Modi cannot pull off the hat-trick alone without some much-needed help from two key NDA allies. So in the previous episode of the Signal Daily, we told you that the spotlight is now on two men, TDP's Chandrababu Naidu and JDU Supremo Nitish Kumar, the kingmakers. If you look at the TDP, it's an old NDA ally that had briefly broken up with the BJP, and Naidu's political career also suffered a blow after his party was defeated by YSR Congress Party in 2019, followed by his subsequent arrest on corruption allegations. But not only has he made a stunning comeback in the state to become the CM for the fourth time, but the TDP also has 16 Lok Sabha seats. Now, on Wednesday, Naidu reaffirmed his support to the BJP-led NDA. But what is interesting, though, is that unlike the BJP, Naidu doesn't dabble in communal rhetoric. And he's also previously been vocally critical of the BJP. And as for Nitish Kumar, well, he's been known to be a very shrewd politician who switched sides from the NDA to the UP and vice versa many a few times. And there is some buzz about the opposition also reaching out to them. So I guess it's going to be very interesting to see what the trade-offs are for an NDA coalition to form the government. Or INDIA, you never know. Now, following a stock market bloodbath on 4th June, Indian stocks led gains once again on Wednesday after these assurances came from the NDA allies. The benchmark NSE Nifty 50 index jumped as much as 3.4% and the rupee traded 0.2% higher, although Adani Group stocks including Adani Enterprises, Adani Ports, Adani Energy Solutions and others declined up to 14% on Wednesday. But irrespective of how the market reacts, there's no doubt that this upcoming term is going to look a little different from Modi's previous terms when it comes to economic and fiscal policies, if he indeed takes oath on 8th June as planned. While the NDA's return to power suggests policy continuity for businesses, a weaker mandate could slow down some of the BJP's economic reform policies, which is, directing investment in infrastructure, digitization, and trying to make India a global manufacturing hub. Instead, it is possible that we may see a greater focus on the rural segment and welfare initiatives, as it appears that ignoring farmers' distress and rural distress and unemployment really hurt the BJP this time. As one brokerage firm, Bernstein, noted, the government has been characterized by more pro-market and less socialist policies. So, as TechCrunch points out, a reallocation of resources might impact some capital expenditure plans. But it's not a bad thing. This election result has shown that the focus has to be inclusive growth. If you like listening to the Signal Daily, please show some support. Rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We'd love to hear what you have to say about this podcast. So feel free to shoot an email at hello@thesignal.co. This episode was researched, written and produced by me, Shorbari, and Anup Sembwal. Edited by Venkat Anand. Mastered and mixed by Yash Hirve. You can catch this podcast every morning on Spotify, Apple, Amazon Prime Music, or wherever you listen to your podcast. We are thesignal.co on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter.